Welcome to Rush Mode, our two-man, three-topic, 10 minutes each podcast. Today I'm joined by Mattzs,
Hello.
and I'm RadZakpak, and here we go with our first topic, first of three. Our first topic is the bus stop locations that TEDD mentions in transit. He brings up a bunch of different locations the bus could go. Some of them are tied to conspiracies, others just seem random. We're going to talk about some of those today. So, get started. So, Matt, what are some that stand out to you?
I think the first one that comes to mind, I guess you want to talk about HARP. That seems to be the most, that has the most connections.
Yeah, because that has some like early connections all the way Shinonuma.
Yeah.
For some reason.
And I think it's only bolstered by what we learn in Alpha Omega. So I don't know, where do you want to start with that?
Well, I mean, what is the actual purpose of HARP? Isn't it just kind of energy?
Yeah, I think so. I'll look
The
it up.
Conspiracy is it has to do with controlling the weather, controlling minds. Is very early conspiracy. So it seems like 115 was going to have some sort of component in it, considering in Shinonuma there's like a thing about how HARP it can be powered by 115. So it is interesting that Ted would mention it. It's something that is somewhat connected to Broken Arrow.
Which is also weird because, what is it? It was established in 1993, but yet there's references to it in Shinonuma. Which I guess,
Right.
I mean, with all the secretive history that's in Call of Duty, I guess you could just say it's just been around, but maybe it was publicly, people were made aware about it in 1990, or that's what they say, but it's a little anachronistic, but.
Right. You could say the note traveled through time, or
Yes.
the Germans came up with the idea first, or something like that.
Yeah, it seems to be basically, just looking it up really fast, because I'm so used to the conspiracy theories about it, I kind of forget what it's actually about, but it stands for the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, and it was funded by the U.S. Air Force, the Navy, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. And its main purpose was, yeah, that's another one, right?
Yeah, DARPA. Dr. Peck was a member of DARPA, where he defected to the Russians.
Interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, see, there's always so many connections, but it just says its original purpose was to analyze the ionosphere and investigate the potential for developing ionospheric enhancement technology for radio communication and surveillance, which is also why, I don't know if they explicitly mention HARP, but I guess that's in my head, in the Cold War campaign, when they mentioned the Duga radio array.
Oh, yeah.
I think I don't know why I always link the two, so I guess that's probably why, so it's kind of like the Duga. But with the zombies lore, yeah, with weather control, mind control, I think with Alpha Omega, and everything going on with Purnell and the APD, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe HARP was some type of is there another pyramid device there, or is it some massive structure that would be used to kind of control a zombie horde, or maybe like the atoms? That's just one of the things that that would kind of come to mind, or if you really want to get some type of be more, I guess, gruesome, maybe it's like meant to trigger like a massive zombie apocalypse, and that would be used to kind of tying into the conspiracy that everyone's going to be mind controlled, like that would send out some like weird 115 wave or something through the radio, and now everyone's just like a literal zombie to HARP. But I think the connection to Broken Arrow and all that stuff is I don't know. Aside from Ted's reference, everything's sort of implicit, but
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's an explicit connection between the two. It just seems too on the nose to not have the whole mind control part of zombies and everything to do with radio waves and electricity not have some influence with HARP and part of some sort of secretive project to control zombies or people or whatever. So I think HARP is a shoo-in. It would make for a fun map, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, most of these would make for pretty fun maps, I think. Maybe even they were going to be hints at some. There's two other locations that were interesting to me: the Pismo Beach and Santa Monica, which are, somewhat, I think, somewhat close to each other in California. and they're
Yeah.
close to where Treyarch Studios is, which ties into the whole idea that Treyarch in universe is like the Illuminati, and
Mm.
they're sort of pulling the strings and they're controlling everything.
Yeah, I think the promenade is like really close to Treyarch's headquarters.
Mhm.
If I recall. So the in universe, it adds to that joke that they're the Illuminati. I'm guessing the reason maybe why Ted says it to begin with, maybe it's just a fun place for Treyarch employees. Like maybe that's where they go to get lunch or something like that. It could be like an inside joke.
Right.
And the beach, I think, is I don't remember. I think this is a while I looked it up. I don't think it's too close. Maybe it might be like 30, 40 minutes away. Could be wrong. I really could be wrong. I just remember it not being like down the street from where I guess there's Activision. Is Treyarch? I guess they have their own studio or wherever Treyarch is located, or wherever that's Activision as a whole. But the thing about Prismo Beach was I found, I think it's supposed to be a hotbed for UFO sightings. There was something about having like 100. Let me make sure I did. I wrote that down. How many? There was like I think 100 UFO sightings in like a short period of time. There was one website I went on that I guess chronicled like UFO hotbeds, and for some reason there just seemed to be a lot in that area. So maybe I'm not from California, so I don't know. Maybe if you're in California, that's like a place where people go. You can tell us in the comments, but like it's like known at least among the locals. So that would be my guess as to why it was added there, unless it's just a nice vacation spot. So
Right.
that's the alternative. But
One other one that stuck out to me is Bohemian Grove, which is like a. I think isn't that like it's supposed to be like where a cult of, not a cult, but isn't it like some sort of society that like with politicians and
yeah,
powerful people go and they have like parties and stuff.
I think Nixon made a joke about it that he didn't like it or whatever. But yeah, I think what's just known is that it is a place where I think politicians and I think like business leaders, they meet. So it's generated like so many conspiracies about what it actually is, and it's led people to connect it to the Illuminati and some like occult practices. So I'm imagining the probably connection in universe to Call of Duty would be like a hotbed of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
That would be my connection, is that whatever the Illuminati are doing in the Call of Duty universe, they have some station at Bohemian Grove, whether I don't know that's their main headquarters or it's just another one of like an outpost. But
Yeah.
that would
Agreed.
be my guess.
You it's funny, you actually did you had like a map idea
Yes.
in one of the previous podcasts. If
It
you want
was-
to watch that, I think it's called Create a Map podcast or Toten.
It
A map
was
idea.
it was Bohemian Grove and Harp.
Right.
I think the reason why I came up with that might have been when we were doing the research on all the TED bus stop locations. That's how I think I wound up mashing the two together. But
It
yeah,
also goes back. It's got Alex Jones in it. So.
yes, because that's right. That's what he's known for. Is he supposedly went to Bohemian Grove? So I'd love a celebrity map with featuring all that. There's so many wacky things you could do.
Great. I think what else on this list sticks out to you? You want to talk about?
I don't know, because some of them. Oh, there's always what was it, Grand Central Station. The only thing that I could think of was there was like a private track for FDR. I think when I also did a little bit of research, that was also used by like MacArthur and a couple people, but I just always remember it because when FDR had polio and he didn't want to be seen in public, it was a private way to transport the president in and out of New York. So my guess would be the connection in Zombies is it's just like another government rail line that maybe Broken Arrow used something that there's been repurposed, because it seems like it wasn't just used by FDR. So I think there's so many ways that story could take it, that there's all these railways or whatever. I don't know if there's anything else. I'm not aware of any other conspiracy theories about it other than it was just like private transport for the president, but perfectly fits in with the whole secret history of Zombies.
Yeah. This list is a pretty wide range. There's like specific locations of like conspiracy places. There's actual government, locations, just random places around the U.S. Like one of them was just Hawaii, the Grand Canyon, just normal places. A darkened hole in a cliff. Curious what they were going for with that one.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a reference that I'm just missing on that, but there's so many more that we could do. I want to save the what was it, the gravitational springs or anomaly or whatever, that one I think should be its own video, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that you could do with ley lines. But I feel at the very least, if we have some time left, I think Mount Rushmore deserves a reference, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the conspiracy that there's like a secret base inside of it.
And maybe that's where the like Rushmore's AI. I don't know. Maybe there's like another copy of him or the original. I don't know.
That's the big computer.
Yeah.
The big brain. Yeah.
So many of these would be perfect maps. So Treyarch, if you're listening, make them into maps, please.
Absolutely.
Or like
Right,
Kino.
right.
I was gonna say Kino. You teleport to them in like a Transit remake or something like that. I don't know. That's it.
Do it. So our next topic is about all the fourth wall breaks in zombies. There's quite a few, some more funny than others, some seem to be implying stuff. It all started with pretty much, it's mostly Dempsey just yelling at the player to drop the chips and give him some ammo, all that. Then there's like weird stuff like Monty and Treyarch references, so we're gonna get into that. So, what are you thinking, Matt?
I'm trying to think. The first, all those references, did they come with Derice? Because I'm trying to remember if Shino Numa, if there was any like fourth wall references.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, see, I think people attribute Dempsey just because Dempsey I think just has the funniest fourth wall breaks, but honestly, I think all the characters pretty much have roughly equivalent. Like I remember Richtofen was like, "Oh, I got an achievement," in Kino.
Yeah, because I think all four of them in Derice, and this could just be my bias because I don't know, I have some specific memory about reading the COD wiki, but I do know they all mention checking their face in Derice, but I just can't remember, were there any fourth wall breaks before that? Maybe the drop your chips and get me some ammo thing in Shino. I don't know if that was Shino Numa or Derice, but that's the first question I have is when did the fourth wall stuff come? Yeah.
I've listened to some of the Shino Numa quotes. They were a little more straight edge than how they became. Kino's kind of went off the deep end, so I think the Black Ops era is sort of where they went wacky with it.
Because I always, just like I said, remember the Derice, like because Facebook is so jarring. Like, okay, yeah, like I get the like I'm in a video game player, what are you doing? But just the fact that they mentioned Facebook, maybe it's a 115 delusion. I don't know. You really want to explain that canon?
Oh, yeah. There is like a in Alpha Omega, there's like at some point Dempsey is like yelling. He's like, Treyarch, get rid of this guy. I'm sick of talking to him. He's talking about Primus Richtofen, and Primus Richtofen's like, I don't think whoever's listening is actually listening to you. Or
what I
talking to is the whole thing.
What I think would be kind of clever writing is that they're obviously fourth wall jokes, but if there's a canon way to explain it, where like would take the Facebook thing for example, or maybe it's like they have like because they're teleporting and everything, maybe they're just seeing the future and they can't keep what's going like what the present, the past, the future, anything straight, and it's some type of like hallucination where they're like, oh, I'm checking my Facebook. Like they could easily write that into the story as it's not even just a fourth wall joke. It's like, oh, they're seeing the future. And if
I like something that I didn't even notice this until recently. Like Primus Dempsey, he doesn't fourth wall break, but he does he does that thing where he kind of talks to nobody. Like he's doing like a log entry or like a transmission, but then Monty like tells him like none of those no one's even listening to those. Like they just go to me. Like I'm the only one listening. So it's kind of similar in that way. He's just talking to nobody to like I guess cope with what's going on in the delusions.
Well, it's kind of
instead of talking to a player, he's just talking to like command.
And it's kind of neat to see like the character trait before it's like dialed up to 11. You know what I mean? With the sort of insanity element, where it's like, okay, before, he's always reporting to someone. So I guess when you sort of up the ante, now he's reporting to the player.
Right.
But
I always had this sort of more meta idea of like what it kind of represents to Ultimus Dempsey, where it's like he seems like the most performative out of all of them. Like it's being like kind of the leader of a squad. I feel like he puts on this like heightened version of the hero, the legend Tank Dempsey, like and that like before he got tested on in the delusions, but then that kind of carried over that heightened sense. So there's just no normal Dempsey. It's just heightened all the time, and like so because of that he's kind of performative to a player since there's no allies he kind of respects really. He doesn't have any like the soldiers below him, so he's just kind of seeing what he wants to see.
Wasn't that even the Monty quote where it says like mentioned or no, maybe it's Takeo. I don't want to mix it up. Something about being the good soldier or always having like some war duty to fight. I could be mixing them up.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think he's MC.
Yeah, so it's like he always has to report to someone, and I don't know. Like, I mean, these are more than likely fourth wall just jokes, but at this point, I don't really know what is and isn't true because I never had thought I'd actually have to explain the canon chalk drawings. But
Right, yep, that's a good transition to Monty, the ultimate fourth wall break, the ultimate self-insert. For some reason they decided, let's just canonize like perk jingles and power-ups and wall writing. Let's just throw it all out there. Just say it's this guy. This guy did it. He was doing it the whole time. He influenced the perks being made and all this.
Well, you know what's funny? Another sort of under the radar fourth wall break that I feel like everyone just hears and just kind of throws it out because they're like, oh, it's gameplay. Like when characters comment on the drops or the power ups, like it's like insta kill or kaboom or double points. Like I think there's even the mobsters are like, what are we making? Like what does it say? Like what are we collecting points for? So there's some quote.
Yeah, the points. And it's like, oh, I don't have enough points to open this.
Yeah,
like complaining about. Like it's just a couch in the way.
Yeah, like who's counting? Yeah, so it's just I was always like, okay, it's kind of a joke, but now
There's always some level of like, the dissonance between the story and like the gameplay. So,
but it would be funny if Treyarch is the Illuminati and maybe these player references and jokes are somehow woven into the story, and it's actually not breaking the fourth wall in a sense. Right. Like I don't know, maybe it's Monty messing with Dempsey, making him think he's in a game or something. But
right. Well, see, Monty has like the radios in like Chronicles are very very reverent of like the maps as if they're the maps that we played, right? Mm. Like he's talking about Nocturne Toad, and it's like you guys actually weren't there, but then you were. Like that's how we see it, but why would anyone in the universe care about that at all? Or like the Ascension poster guy, it's like he's talking to us, really. I mean, and then there's
it's almost like he designed it.
Right, yeah, it's almost like he's the developer. But and then there's the oh shoot. The whenever Chronicles came out, they were doing all the YouTubers got sent little messages from Monty.
Huh.
You know, I don't know how canon those are, but
that's interesting.
It's strange.
I think we even had the joke that like are the Treyarch games canon within their own, you know, like are they a retelling of what happened, and that's why Treyarch has all these stories because they are the Illuminati and they know the secret history of World War II, and you know Dempsey and them are all just they're real people that they decided to make a game about. That could be
right. There's so many layers; it's hard to keep up. Like,
all they had to do was just ignore like double points and perk jingles, or well, I guess the perks at least you could say are canon, but there's just some things
I don't necessarily have any problem with the canonization of gameplay elements that Monty does. It's just the way it came all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I guess it was just kind of a little more hand wavy. I understand the justification for him was like, I can only. He said something like, I can only that already exist. I can't just out of thin air create something. So it's like with a max ammo, he can just move ammo around, presumably.
Yeah, I think with
already exists.
I think with the way now they call, like in Cold War where they call it essence, if they had stuff like that back then, it probably would have made it there'd be a more palatable transition, because it's like okay, if you're like some fourth dimensional being, like maybe like the way you view, you know, it almost could be a game to someone like Monty, and it's just I don't know. Like I said, there's some things like the perk machine's like okay, it's just some like weird biochemical beverage or whatever that's made, but yeah, I wasn't really expecting double points, but you know.
It's just something you have to deal with something that goes on for 10 years, and started in 2008 where that kind of stuff just didn't matter. No one really considered that until a bunch of nerds said it mattered. A bunch of nerds here on the CODS forum.
Yeah, that's their fault then. That's why we're here today. All they had to do is just say certain things aren't canon, and we wouldn't have to explain why the Replacer and Price are in Blackout. But that's
don't even get me started. I'll use this last minute to say we were gonna talk about this, but I don't think we can talk about it for 10 minutes. But I think there is a mole in CODs in the Discord or in the forums, like from Treyarch. And I think they're feeding ideas in. They're feeding all our essence.
How do we know it's not
So-
you?
I'm gonna edit that part out. Yeah, no, it couldn't possibly be me. But whoever you are, I'm not saying, you can DM me.
Yeah,
I won't tell anybody.
Just private message me so I can have like my concerns and complaints expedited right to who your
Right.
manager, so we can.
I'm definitely not gonna blackmail you, and I'm definitely not gonna force my way into the next game. All my ideas. So
But all you have
Yeah.
to do is just meet our demands and have zombie chronicles of all the maps put into the newest game. This is simple,
right.
simple.
I know it's you, Kevin. I know it's you. Don't lie.
Drop a hint in the next song. Give us a hint.
Yeah,
Give us a hint.
Drop a COD's hint. Only we would know. All right.
I
Do it,
really
do
hope
it.
that's
So for our last topic, we're going to talk about our favorite characters in each playable group of characters. So Primus, Ultimus, Victus, 5 crew, Chaos, all that. Talk about that here. So I guess first place to start, Ultimus. Who's your favorite Ultimus character?
it's so hard because I think of them all as a group, and to me that's it's hard to peel one off because how I always remember them are the 4 of them together. But I think if there was anyone that, and it's kind of true for all the groups, but if there was anyone that represents, I think, Ultimus the best, it would probably be Richtofen.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's the given. This is
Yeah.
it's kind of unfair, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just everything that I kind of enjoyed about the characters is exemplified by Richtofen because he's the most eccentric and dialed up. And
Sure.
so
He's basically the protagonist and the antagonist at the same time.
it's
Very
interesting, which is why I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of the reason why they went with Primus. Because they could have Richtofen be the protagonist, and then you wouldn't have to be like there's a Nazi who's a protagonist. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to worry about the
Yeah.
fallout.
They pushed away from that very
Yeah.
hard.
But I think it's because everyone loves the character. But you could,
Right.
there's
He's so lovable.
yes, he is.
He's dramatic.
But he's also got a tragic backstory. So
Absolutely.
So that's why-
Shakespearean tragedy, you could say.
yeah, still.
Second favorite though is Ultimus Takeo. He's just because he's the underdog. I feel like he doesn't get enough love. Everyone underappreciates him.
See, I always liked, and maybe this gets back to why I said I see them as a group. Their interactions and banter with each other is what I enjoyed. So
yeah.
watching the two of them argue with each other or make some stupid comment. And I guess that's why I link them rather than just keep them separate. But yeah, he's perfect.
What about Primus?
Premise is interesting. I don't know because the Richtofen isn't as eccentric. I don't know who I would.
He has many
choose.
layers though.
Yeah, he definitely. He feels.
He cries a lot.
He
Very
does.
sad.
Maybe it's just because of the way Treyarch has primed it, but it does feel like there's the most story focused and depth to Primus Richtofen. So I guess another cop out. I guess I'm going with him as well.
Right.
But
I'm gonna have to go Primus Takeo. I think they even said I think that Takeo was the least interesting of Ultimus. So they did a hard 180 to make him the coolest.
yes,
And he is definitely the coolest, I would say. And also,
Yes.
I just love how he's the most mature in the way he handles the whole soul thing. Like the fact
Yeah.
that his whole life path just got destroyed in front of him, and he just sort of learns to accept that. He kind of meditates on it, becomes the most mature about it. I just love him. He's just a cool guy.
he's definitely I think more of the lovable characters. I know we still
And
had
he gets along with everybody in the group. There's no he gets along with Nikolai Dempsey. Like him and Dempsey have a kind of a romance, and then Richtofen obviously he comes around to him.
And I guess I'm standing by this is a Mandela effect, but I swore he killed his parents, but apparently he didn't.
Nah.
So-
That's
so-
slander.
Yeah.
You don't use slander Takeo.
So aside from
Yeah, go ahead.
aside from chopping the tail off cats, I think him and Dempsey seem to have the least amount of heinous acts to their name out of the Ultimus group or Ultimate. I think. Well, I guess I don't really know much about the I guess Primus background's a
Right.
little bit different, but
Well, most of Nikolai's I mean, the wives thing is fake, so like we don't
no,
know really his
I,
war crime.
but see,
Takio might actually be the worst, just working for the emperor and having such like a dogmatic view of the
yeah, he
emperor.
could be actually, he could be the worst. Well, I thought the there's like a weird middle ground where isn't the writing in Tog mentions like Stalin fears Nikolai or something like so like to some extent I don't know. I think there
Yeah,
is.
there's definitely some level of he is somewhat important in his country. There's the whole thing with the Belinsky Square, and there's something to that. I think definitely for sure.
Because if I recall, maybe he didn't have all those wives, but I feel like because what was it? She was sleeping with a party member, and then he killed her and the what was it? Was it the member of the Communist Party? And then that got him like exiled.
Yeah, that was from the
That's,
bio.
yeah, and I feel like in Tog they reference that bio explicitly, so it makes me think there's some truth to what Nikolai said. It seems like a man who was a product of his time, hardened by the era, where Primus Nikolai seems softer and more human.
You know what? I hate those. I'll be honest. I hate those bios. I think the fact that they've been retconned so hard.
Yeah,
They feel it more like legends. You know.
I know.
Like just the legend of the characters.
but I want to think Tog kind of brought it full circle. So I like to think that there are elements to it that are canon. I mean, Dempsey's just like, oh, he's a badass war hero, so it's like, okay, that's not like hard to believe. And since Takio didn't kill his parents, I guess that's still standard, right? You know, the venerable warrior. But Richthofen's, I guess, is a little muddy. I think Nikolai's is the only one that's the most cause for concern, because they try to make it seem like the whole jokes about the wives are about because he lost his loved one and he turned to alcohol, and it's like this whole facade. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because he loved his wife and she was cheating on him, and it was a crime of passion, and in a rage he killed her and
lies, deception, lies and deception. What about Victus?
Victus, Victus for me is in like a sore spot because they came right after Ultimus and they just didn't fill that spot. I like them as characters, but it was hard for me to really get attached to one. I mean, I think they all, I don't know, I just didn't find them as funny. I mean, I always link Misty and Marlton, they're a couple, but I guess Stuhlinger was kind of funny. Russman had the most interesting sort of twist to being a Broken Arrow agent that I feel deserved. Broken Arrow isn't a thing, but and I don't really know how souls work now, if he's just trapped in the Dark Ether or there's another version of him out in the new world. But it would be perfect if he became an operator.
He would actually be he would be an adult and like operating at this point.
He would.
Ooh.
So, but I don't think he can, right? Because of the
well, no, because well, the only souls that can't come back, I think, would be Primus Ultimus, because they were tied to the ether, and that was the whole thing, was destroying them because they're part of the ether and the ether's gone. So like they had to die. But everything else, because considering like Woods and the whole campaign, people all came back. I would assume the same applies.
But
to
like
else.
the Ultimus crew they were sort of encompassed by the ether, right, at the end of their unless that's just what happened to the whole world. Like I got the impression that they were sort of trapped in wherever they were. So maybe not. Maybe they were that's just the universe remaking itself, and that's why they'll be back. Because I just feel a Russman operator would be a given, but
oh god, yeah. See, because that's why Russman's my favorite, because just my imagination runs wild with like Men in Black shenanigans working for Broken Arrow for like 30-40 years. Stuhlinger is close just because he's just hilarious, especially in Tog. He's just off the wall. He's like Richthofen level. I love it.
He's sort of like a Richthofen. Like, I think like Russman has the most potential for an interesting backstory. It's actually Stuhlinger too, with the Cult of the Flesh. I think those were the two that kind of carried the group. I like Marlton and Misty, but I don't know. There's Marlton. There was a lot of cool stuff, but I don't know. Then he's just a conspiracy theorist in Tog, which was weird, because I guess that's where you find Marlton, and it's kind of like, I thought
it's a little weird.
It's a little weird. Because that's like Stuhlinger's role. So why is it? But
other crews. What about Chaos? Who's your favorite Chaos?
that's again, I see them all. Maybe Diego. I felt like was maybe more the most
Yeah, I'm a
well-rounded.
Diego fan. He's just I love his kind of arc of being just kind of a confident jerk and
Yeah.
then becoming a lot more lovable and
Well, the ending,
Really?
yeah. Um,
yeah.
I think he maybe had the most the most range.
Mhm.
Because I think that was the one thing. I mean, as Scarlet, I think got better over time. But
Right.
I like
Sean Bruno kind of they were just kind of there. I felt like.
yeah, like Shaw was fun. Like there were some quotes from Shaw that I found were funny, but then I felt like it was just kind of beating the same dead horse of like, oh, I'm addicted to the elixirs or whatever.
Right. I'm
Bru-
crazy.
Yeah, Bruno did have moments of self-reflection, but a lot of his quotes were like just I'm just brooding Bruno. But there were at least some moments. I think Scarlet was just like too angry, so I'm gonna go with Diego. He seemed to have the most well-rounded character
Right.
in Chaos.
Okay. Speed run. Favorite five. Just say name.
Nixon.
Five.
Nixon.
Oh wait, this is really hard.
The
I like
mobsters.
JFK. Beans for the chowder. Call of the Dead.
Oh god. Buffy. I'm gonna go with Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Dan Trejo. What else? Okay.
Sal
Mom.
DeLuca.
Shadows.
Oh. Shadows. Oh, they're all good. Nero Blackstone. I'll go with Nero Blackstone.
Jackie fucking Vincent.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
That
that's
sounds good.
it. I had to say it.
That was an
No, it'd probably
obligatory.
be Nero. But yeah. All right. Anyway, great podcast. That was a good
Yeah.
one. Thanks for joining me, man. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.